Hello folks, welcome to another video. This will be the start of a new series on the channel. A series that I'm calling Planes and Trains. And what's that series about, I hear you ask, or at least the voices in my head ask. Well folks, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And basically the concept is to fly a simulated aeroplane along the same route as some of the great train journeys of the world. So basically replicate the train journey but in the air in a simulator. Make sense? Probably not. Doesn't matter. It does to me. That's all that matters. And we're going to start here in Australia, folks. Don't let the livery throw you off. I just like this livery. I really like that blue. It's nice. And the rego is baked into the livery, and I don't mind the rego either. 662 Mike Echo, me. Admittedly a North American livery. We are here in Australia, so it doesn't really fit the story, but that's okay. We won't let facts get in the way of the story, folks. So, first journey in this series is one of the great train journeys of the world. It just happens to exist here in Australia, and it's called the Ghan. And it takes you from a place called Adelaide, which is where we are this morning, all the way up through the heart of the nation, up to the northern capital of Darwin. Now this video will feature the first leg of that journey to about the halfway mark. We're going to go to Alice Springs. So Adelaide to Alice Springs. Let me show you what that looks like on a map. So here we are in Little Nav Map, and what a fantastic application this is. I must admit that there's so much to it. It does so many things that I can't wrap my head around it. So I'm going to use it in a fairly simplistic way, but in a way that kind of suits my purpose. And that's how you should use a tool, right? So the journey, as I said, Adelaide down here, the southern capital, well, the capital of South Australia, I should say, and it's not even the southernmost capital, but it's the capital of South Australia, down the bottom here, and, sorry, it keeps resetting the zoom, I don't know how to turn that off, and takes us to Alice Springs, almost the dead centre of the country. Well, it's known as the Red Centre, actually, and then part two will take us up to Darwin here. Now, we have got a whole bunch of waypoints, you can see plugged in, 45 of the buggers. And I have to give credit to, and there will be a link to this in the description, the flight plan, or the two flight plans for these two flights, have been posted on the old flightsim.to a little while ago. And I downloaded them at the time thinking, one day I'm going to make use of that. And that day has come. So there will be a link to it in the description. Thank you, sir, for doing the hard yards for me, putting in all of these waypoints. And the waypoints kind of reflect very closely the actual routing of the train, or routing of the train, if you prefer that word, or that pronunciation of same. So yeah, 45 of them. Now I'm going to do this flight in the TBM 930, which is going to take us about 3 hours to do it, according to Little Nav Map. So distance and time, 824 miles according to the flight plan, just under 3 hours. Now I could do it better than that, but I'm going to fly low, folks, and well, by low I mean a VFR altitude, so 8,500 feet is the plan here. So if I got it up high and got some decent TAS and probably got some more favourable wind, I could do it a little bit quicker. But the purpose for me in doing this is to actually have a look at the ground. See this beautiful country. So I'm going to do VFR 8,500 in the TBM 930, around about 3 hours worth of flying according to Little Nav Map. As I said, the video won't be anywhere near that length, but during the video what we'll have a look at is some information about the actual train journey. You'll be learning pretty much as I am, folks. I'm no expert in trains at all. I've never been on the Ghan. I would dearly love the opportunity to one day travel on it, but I don't see that happening. So I live vicariously through others, and we're going to look at what the Ghan is like to the best of our ability, and fly the route. That's the plan, folks. Let's do some flying. Right, welcome on board, everyone. Get the door shut and get Jude turned on. That's the most important part of any flight, isn't it? Hey, getting you started, Jude, if you know what I mean. It's a bloody tough gig, though. Jude, you with me, love? You don't seem too impressed. This is quite a journey. This is quite a treat. Start of a new series on the channel. I mean, a little bit of enthusiasm wouldn't go astray. I'm an old man. I need some help to sort of, get through every day. Nah. Oh, Jude, what are we going to do about you? Absolutely nothing is the answer. You're bloody perfect the way you are, Jude. Ignition can come on. We'll put a nav light on just because we can. Get the avionics sorted out, switched on.
Oral warning, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Betty. Speed bugs can come all on. We've got switches to Navcom. Yeah, we're going VFR, that's fine. MFD, there's our flight plan sorted. We might need to zoom in a bit. Where are we parked in relation to... Oh, right at the wrong end of the field. Wrong end of the field.
Test, okay.
Yeah, thank you, Betty. I think 05's our departure runway. We'll plan anyway. We're right at the other end of it. Oh, well, we hit local barrow as well. Let's get the engine started, folks. So we've got our throttle lever where it should be. So ignition's on. Put our starter on. See some build up in the old NG. Stuff's happening. Alright, we can introduce some fuel. Get rid of our yokes. ITT should rise. Oil pressure is rising. Oil temperature is rising. All good. Alright. Come back upstairs. Ignition can go to auto. We'll get the boost pump to auto. Fuel selection to auto. That to on. Gen can come on. And our taxi light can come on. How's that? Have we done everything that we need to? I think so. So, it's telling us that the bleed's off. Of course, we'll switch that to auto. We'll turn the pitot heats on and the stall heater. That'll clear all of those warnings, just leaving us with the parking brake. We've got our active nav mode is FMS, which is good. As we saw, we've got a whole bunch of waypoints plugged in here, courtesy of little nav map. Well, really courtesy of the person that put it together, and again, thank you to you, sir. Link to the description. I'll have to do my own flight plans, I think, for some of the other journeys that I plan to do. But I will make those available in a suitable location. We might taxi around to the right-hand side, Jude, because we can. And en route, while we're taxiing, we'll dial in an altitude into the altitude selector. 8,500 VFR. Looks like a beautiful day here in Adelaide. But, as we saw in a video, I think it will hit the channel by the time this one does. There's a video I did the other day in a Vans RV7 where the weather changed suddenly and completely without warning. So, we'll see what happens, folks. We will see what happens. We're going to taxi down here to the left, I think, and sort of parallel 05. Yeah, the wind is suggesting that a departure of 05 would be advantageous. It'll give me just a few more minutes with the lovely Jude, which unfortunately probably means a few more minutes of video time for you poor viewers. But I'll take this opportunity before we go anywhere to thank recent subscribers to the channel and to long-term subscribers, and thank you as always for those interactions and the comments and the questions and suggestions and critiques and all that stuff that is provided by YouTube. It is appreciated. I will not thank the people who make stupid comments or make comments that have absolutely nothing to do with the video. I don't know. Is there a prize for most comments or something as a YouTube user? Because some people seem to be posting all sorts of random shit on people's channels, And I think we go down to the right here, Jude, don't we? Yeah. Oh, there's another runway. We'll cross that runway as we head down to the bottom of 05. Hang a left here. Beautiful day here in Adelaide. Temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, so quite warm, but middle of summer. It does get quite warm in this part of the world. Well, in all parts of the world, really. if that part happens to be anywhere in the country of Australia. Yeah. So we might take an intersection departure because we can. So that's coming up here on the left-hand side. We're going to need some flaps. In fact, I'm going to need my controls set up. That's something. We'll just hold here for a second. Yeah, should have been paying a little bit more attention. Flaps we're going to need. Trims are going to be okay. At this point, we'll take landing lights. Strobies can come on. I'll come downstairs and sort out our altitude reporting and head out onto the runway. So local baro set 30.03, runway 05. So we're about halfway down the field. That's fine. It's a very long runway. We're lightly loaded in terms of packs. It's just me and Jude. We are full tanks, as we can see here on the MFD. So 3 hours worth of flying, and according to the little nav map, we have about an hour of reserve as well. So we'll just zoom out a little bit. Out, mate, out. So our first waypoint is over there towards the northeast. Again, following the route of the train. We may not hit that. Oh, we may try. Okay, right turn after departure, Georgie. That's what we're going to be doing. 8,500 dialed in. We've got flaps, we've got trim, we've got lights, we've got everything that we need. We've got Jude excited. Let's do this thing, folks. First leg of the Ghan. First video of the new series. Righto. The power is set. Up through 60. And we'll rotate about there. A little bit of breeze. Positive rate now, gear can come up. We're going to make an immediate right-hand turn to follow our flight plan as best we can. And we're going to go flaps up at this point. The city of Adelaide, the CBD in front of you, folks. So I'm guessing that waypoint 1 probably reflects the position of the railway station. I'm going to climb out at a fairly shallow angle just so that we've got some visibility of stuff. We'll get along at a fair clip though. City of Adelaide, folks. This is the stock sim. No payware here. There is a payware version of Adelaide Airport. I think Impulse Simulations do it. And it's telling us that we should be preparing for a left-hand turn through the city. So we'll do that at low level. Just bring back the power a little bit. And we'll do a low-level flyby of the City of Adelaide, folks. Not really reflective of the architecture here in the CBD, but close enough is good enough today. There we go. It's the River Torrens, isn't it, in Adelaide that we're about to cross? We're a little right of track. Out here at 1,000 feet. We are getting buffeted by a pretty strong nor'easterly. Yeah, we're getting blown quite a bit here. So there is the railway track beneath us. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick this up too well. It's down here, I think, folks. Am I correct? That looks a lot like a railway line. Something like that. So we're heading towards waypoint 2. The wind is sort of taking us in that direction anyway. Yeah. Just down there, folks, underneath our left wing. Looks like a railway track to me. Alright, once we get to waypoint 2, we'll begin our climb up to 8,500. And that'll do us about here. So we'll give it some juice, pitch up, fly it in balance, and we'll have to get a little bit more bank happening there. That's quite a strong breeze now, almost 30 knots on the nose. And we're getting thrown around a little bit. So a fairly gentle sort of cruise climb. I normally climb this thing at about 180 knots, all the way up into the flight levels, which goes pretty well. But today I might sort of look at more of a sort of 200 knot cruise climb, something like that. Take the hit in terms of vertical rate. We're not in a hurry to get to 8,500 feet. Take another shot, other parts of Adelaide, down there into the Great Australian Bight. Yeah, there's the railway track under the left wing. Fantastic. I only spent a very limited amount of time in my life in Adelaide, and it was for business purposes. But the time I did spend there was definitely enjoyable, certainly interesting, and yeah, fond memories of the place. We might try and now we're going to try and hit waypoint number 3 here on the MFD. Not flying this particularly accurately, folks. And we've got a pretty severe left-hand turn after that, out towards the northwest. Yeah, I'll let Georgie do some flying actually. So what we'll do is we'll go yaw damper on, flight director, autopilot, heading hold, and go here, and we'll hit that waypoint very soon. Actually, we'll go nav from this point. Georgie can fly us. I might go outside for a bit and take some shots over the city. Why not, hey? As we make the turn. Thanks, Georgie. Yeah, City of Adelaide, folks. Looking quite red, isn't it? At the moment. That'd be Parafield, wouldn't it? The main GA airport of Adelaide. We were just sort of flying over. Yeah, there she is in all of her glory. Really is a beautiful morning here, just a little bit breezy. You can see the red dirt. Or is this Parafield down here? I can't remember. What's this one? I don't know. That might be the RAF base. I don't know, folks. Anyway, we are on our way towards waypoint number 4 of 45. As we know, there's a lot to do here. We're going to basically track the coast for a bit before we head north, or more northerly, I should say. So, folks, a long flight. I might leave it there in terms of the video for now. I'll join you in the cruise. 8,500 is planned, and in the next segment, we might have a look at what this rail journey actually involves. Alright, we're settled into the cruise at 8,500 as we make the turn towards, I would say that'd be Port Pirie that we're heading towards. Georgie, would I be correct? I think so. Yeah, the town of Port Pirie. Waypoint number 13 of 40, whatever it was, 45 or something that we've got to do on this flight, folks. Everything's going pretty well. We're here at 8,500 feet. Conditions are smooth, flying conditions. We have had a little bit of a headwind that's sort of turning around for us as we turn. So TASing at just over 250, and ground speed is around about the same. Forecasting an en route time of 2 hours and 51 minutes from here. That's slightly behind schedule. But we do have enough endurance for 3 hours 50, so an hour's worth of endurance if we needed it. Not that we're going to need it. Conditions are really, really good, and suit VFR flying. Yeah, everything's going fine. So, should we have a look at the Ghan, what it's about? Let's start by looking at the route. Okay, so what you're seeing on your screen now is Australia's great train journeys. I would argue that there might be one or two others, but these are the three of the ones that I want to do here in Australia. So the one we're doing today is the Ghan, which is the red line, folks. We started in Adelaide. We're currently sort of in Port Pirie, and then we'll head up towards Port Augusta, and then up through the heartland of South Australia, up past Cooper Pedy, etc., and then to Alice Springs. That's the first leg. And then the second leg will take us from Alice up past Tennant Creek, Katherine, and then into Darwin. So I'm kind of splitting the journey in two. I think the main stops for the Ghan are in Alice Springs. There might be one, it would appear that there is one south of Katherine, and then into Darwin. And I think it's like 3 or 4 days, something like that. I'll confirm that. I'll fire up the I'll find the website for the Ghan, and we'll confirm that. But I think it's about 3 or 4 days to go from Adelaide to Darwin up through the heartland, and I'll be interested to see how much it's costing. But that is the journey in totality. What I'd also like to do in another video or 2, or maybe even 3, is do the Indian Pacific from Perth, the west, all the way across the Kimberley, across to Sydney. That is world famous journey. Love to do that. I think that's more like 5 or 6 days, isn't it? A little bit further. And then these guys are also highlighting a journey called the Overland, which is the run from Adelaide down to Melbourne. I might do that, but I might do that in a different aeroplane. I don't know what aeroplanes I'm going to use for this thing, for this stuff. Whatever I feel like on the day. That's how it's going to work. So there are some of Australia's great train journeys, but I'd really like this series actually to take me to different parts of the world, into Europe and into the States and into Canada, and maybe into Asia as well. Africa. I'd love to use this series to sort of explore the simulated world, the virtual world, in a different way. We'll see how we go, folks. Today we're doing the Ghan. So let me fire up a website which tells you about the real thing. And here is that website, or a website. This is the official Ghan website. So, regarded as one of the world's great train journeys, absolutely. The Ghan delivers so much more, etc., etc. Journey through the heartland of Australia, folks, as we've already seen. 2019 marked 90 years of Outback Crossing. There you go. It's been around for a while. The Ghan experience. Let's talk. Actually, before we do that, fares and timetables. How much does this thing cost? Ghan 22 fares and timetable. What are we looking at? Ooh, geez. Okay. $2.5 grand if you buy in advance. That's one way. Adelaide to Darwin or vice versa. So what if you want to do the whole thing? It's like $5 grand. Far out. If you want to go halfway, you get it for $1,500. Yikes. $5 grand to do. I wonder how many people do the return. I'm guessing that people sort of do a fly rail sort of thing. You fly into Adelaide or fly into Darwin, do the journey down to Adelaide or up to Darwin, and then fly out of that location. Is that how it works? Is that what people are doing? Or are people doing the return? I don't know. Jeez, bloody hell. $2.5 grand. That probably shouldn't be a surprise, but somehow it is. Let's go back. Let's have a look at the experience. Your onboard experience. I reckon it's probably pretty fancy, eh? Service levels. Here we go. Leave the everyday world behind as you step on board our distinctive trains. The romance, adventure and comfort of rail are yours to experience. Does she come with it? Is she like a personal assistant? Doubt it. Gold service. Oh, there's different classes of service. So gold, What do you get? You'll be immersed into a world of romance. Oh, here we go. Yeah. How much romance can you get up to with little beds like that? Pretty confined space. If you know what I'm saying, Jude. Platinum service. Oh, this is for the discerning traveller. Platinum service adds an enhanced level of sophistication. Oh, you get discreet, personalised service. Oh, yeah. Discreet or discretion. Jude, when we travel, we need some of that, don't we? And then if you want to go all out, you can book the Chairman's Carriage. Bloody hell, look at that. It is considered Australia's most luxurious rail carriage, and it can be yours to exclusively enjoy with a small group, or by yourself if you're a greedy bastard. The Chairman's Carriage. They're very chic, very private and exclusive. Oh, gee. Oh, hello. Look at this. Have a look at that. Everything included. So how much does that cost? I'm guessing if you have to ask, you can't afford it. The Chairman's Carriage. What else? You can get off and do expeditions and stuff, right? So you can get off at Cooper Pedy, Alice and Catherine. And you can extend your journey with the trip out to Uluru. I think I've got a video on my channel where we flew out to Uluru. Didn't we? And it was a bit weird. Like there was some morphing of the rock or something. And then you can also do the... Oh, how good would that be, hey? The Mullet Gorge helicopter flight out of Catherine. Hey? There we go. What else can we talk about while we're here? We've looked at the experience. We've looked at holiday packages. No, we haven't. Holiday packages. What do you do? Look, folks, if this is boring anyone, just skip ahead. There is some flying. still to appear in this video. Don't fear. Righto, 2023 season is now open for bookings. Is it right? 2023 packages. Taste of Two Cities, Darwin Discovery, Adelaide Discovery, Wine and Wildlife, Coastal Quest, Red Centre Spectacular, all the stuff. Outback to Ocean. Oh, from 16,000 per person. The Ultimate Territory Tour from 10. Who has the money to spend on all this? I've obviously done something wrong in my life, folks. Bloody Nora. I didn't realise it'd be so, well, I would use the word expensive. I've never really looked at it before. It's kind of a bit disappointing. I think I'll just stick with my planes and trains simulator journey. A little bit cheaper. Yeah. Anyway, folks, that's the Ghan. One of the great train journeys of the world, recognised as such, and the subject of the first two videos in this new series on the channel. We'll get back and do some flying. It is a long journey. I'll join you somewhere in the heart of the red dust, sort of in the north of South Australia, something like that, out past Cooper Pedy. That'll be the plan. We'll see you at that point, folks. Alright, folks, so from the flight deck, once again, we are still cruising at 8,500 feet. We're about halfway through the journey, and as you can see over here on the MFD, we're painting some serious colours. There's quite a bit of red ahead of us, green and yellow. We are heading directly into some rough weather, folks, represented thus in the simulator. Let me take you outside so we get a better perspective on it. There we go. We've got a lot of white fluffy stuff, and some of it's got a definite tinge of grey to it. Yeah, we continue to follow the railway line, which is down there underneath our right wing, up towards a place called Cooper Pedy. We're not that far from Cooper Pedy, actually. Lots of this is what you'll find around Cooper Pedy, folks. A lot of the red, or I think it's called ochre, is the name that the cool kids use. The ochre dirt, and you see an absolute shitload of it in this part of Australia, folks. It goes forever. So yeah, we're just basically paralleling the railway line, and there would be a highway, I'm guessing, that also parallels that railway line. A bit hard to make out there, but you can make out a road. I think that's a road. Or is that the railway line? And then the road next to it. I don't know, folks. Everything's going pretty well, and there's been a whole lot of just beautiful flying. Or picturesque flying, I should say, until this point. We're going to continue at 8,500 feet. We're just going to hook straight into it, right into the eye of the beast. What's ahead of us? Hopefully we'll push through it without any dramas. Let me just zoom out. Yeah, see, it sort of clears up around about 100 miles ahead of us. Yeah, I think we're fine. What happened to my weather display? What happened there? There we go. Yeah, as I said, about halfway through, an hour and 38 left to run before we hit the Alice. Looks like we might be able to scoot across the top of this stuff without any dramas. So not technically VFR, but look, it's a simulator, folks. And Jude's not picky, after all. She sits next to me. She can't be too selective, can she? Folks, I'll rejoin you closer to our destination, and we'll fly and approach into Alice Springs. Alright, here we are, the final segment, I think this will be, folks. We're about 60 miles south of Alice at the moment. And isn't this gorgeous country, hey? Lots of red, but absolutely beautiful weather. We had to fly through that sort of region there that was sort of at Cooper Pedy, north of Cooper Pedy, which really wasn't too bad at the end of the day. We were on top of the cloud. I don't think we ever actually entered cloud. We came very close, but really no impact to us whatsoever. The headwind has reduced a little bit the further north we've travelled, and there's just been a whole lot of this out the window for the last couple of hours, folks, which, look, I've got to say, has been a really pleasant experience. I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed the purpose of it, learned something about the Ghan. I don't fly in this part of the world very often, much to my regret, and this is beautifully represented in the Microsoft Sim. We've never had a simulator represent the outback as well as this one does. And I say that knowing that the developers will soon release World Update number 8, I think it is, covering Australia. I don't know how much difference that would make to a flight like this. I don't know what they're going to include in the World Update. And I made a video the other week flying the TBM. We brought it down from India through Asia and then into Darwin. And I said the purpose of that was to position that aircraft in FS economy to do some touring of Australia. And that aircraft still remains in Darwin, and I might still do some of that sort of flying. But this flight today, completely independent of any economic ecosystem, I think is the term I'm looking for. This is just me firing up the sim and going flying, not worrying about the chasing of virtual dollars. Anyway, folks, let's jump inside. We are going to hit Alice pretty quickly. Yeah, so we're about 55 miles according to the flight plan. The flight plan's sort of taking us out to the northeast of the field. I think it has it landing, on runway 30, so to the northwest at Alice. But we'll see. We'll plan that. We'll expect that, and if it requires us to change to the other direction, we will. We'll make that decision when we get there. So yeah, really enjoyable flight, and I'm looking forward to doing the second leg. That will have to be on another day. These flights do take a little bit of time, 3 hours worth of flying, and I do everything in real time. Not having a go at anyone who uses the time compression and all that sort of stuff. We all sim the way we want to sim. Nothing wrong with any of that. I just prefer to do it in real time and try and sort of get a feel for what this would be like if I was doing it for real. If I was a rich man and I owned a TBM 930 and I had a beautiful woman next to me in Jude. That's what I'm going for. A little bit unrealistic, you have to say. Even if the aircraft's well modelled and the sim looks great, we all know we're flying pixels on the screen, folks. Which brings me to an interesting point. I've been doing some reading of the various forums as I do on these long flights, and there's some discussion that's been happening over there on the AvSim, which is it's an interesting place on the best of days. That joint discussion that's been happening around the Kodiak. Simworks Studios, I think is the name of the developer, the Kodiak, which is an impressive looking aircraft and has received some really good press, positive reviews, and lots of people featuring it in streams and in videos. I don't currently own it. That may change, particularly if they sort of release an update that seems to be in the works. But interesting discussion. There's been someone develop a mod for it, and I don't want to go too far into this because it's just, for me, it's a typical bloody flight sim drama that it's like a virus in the community. Sometimes takes hold. Certain individuals, very small number of individuals, sort of like to create drama. But someone's created a mod for the Kodiak, and then there seems to be a bit of a backstory. It'll take you outside, those of you that like to look at stuff, I include myself, rather than just look at the instrument panel the whole time. There's lots to see. This is just so gorgeous. Look at that. Look at the definition. It just, so beautiful. So glad that I decided to make this my first trip on in the new series. But so there's a bloke that's created a mod for the Kodiak, and different versions of events as to what that bloke's actual motivation is. He's posted it on the flightsim.to. I've actually got one of his mods. There's a video that will hit the channel sometime in the next few days. A Modders Monday episode. One of his mods for another aircraft. But the drama. It's like if you own the Kodiak, and there's a bit of contention around how realistic it is, how realistic it flies. Because they released it, from what I remember, the developer released it and said, and then there was some feedback, people saying this thing's too hard to fly or it's unrealistic and whatever. And the developer says, well, we had real Kodiak pilots tell us that this is the real deal. This is how it works. Only to release an update, thereafter, which kind of changed the whole thing and kind of addressed some of the feedback that the people were giving them and changed the way the aircraft flies. And I think people said, well, what would the bloody Kodiak pilots actually know if it had to be changed so soon after? Clearly it didn't fly the way that the real thing does. So what's the value of having real pilots on the team and all that sort of stuff? And look, since then this guy's come up with a mod and it changes a whole bunch of stuff, and there are people arguing it shouldn't need a mod. It's a perfectly good aeroplane because it has Kodiak pilots verifying its authenticity and its accuracy. So what's this bloke doing? He's chasing views or whatever. I don't know. People come up with all sorts of theories. The fact is, there's a mod for the Kodiak. If you own the Kodiak and you're happy with the Kodiak as it is, don't worry about the mod. If you want to try out the mod, it's really easy to do. You download it, you whack it in your community folder, go for a fly. See what you think. At the end of the day, we are flying pixels on the screen. We are flying representations here in the simulator. That's all. And guys, don't get your knickers in a knot. Just enjoy yourself. Find a way to enjoy yourself, whatever you're doing. If you're getting all hung up on whether there should be a mod or what the modder's motivation is or something like that. Guys, you're hanging on too tight. That's all I'm saying. We're about 30 miles away, folks. We might start a gentle descent. Why don't we, hey? Dude, it's been a long flight. This is one of the longer ones I've done in this aircraft. Even that long ferry from India. There wasn't too many that were sort of 3 hours. Anyway, altitude selector. We'll come down. We'll plug in 5,000 initially. A number that I picked out of my ass, folks. Start the vertical speed. Wind it down. Come down at about 600 feet a minute initially. Bring the torque, I should say, back to about 70, which is about there. Zoom in a tad. So our flight plan has us heading towards the waypoint of Basef. Yep, which is an approach fix into runway 30. Okay. So we're probably going to lose sight, or lose connection, I suppose, visual connection with the railway is my guess as we come into Alice here. But that's okay. We've maintained fantastic flight plan. Again, credit to the guy who put it together. Well done, mate. Really appreciate your hard work in doing so. It takes time to get it right like that, and it was pretty bloody good. So I'm going to try and replicate what you did in little nav map for other journeys. I might try and do it for the Indian Pacific. I might even publish something onto the flightsim.to. I haven't done that. Downloaded so much stuff. I haven't actually published anything there. But if that's of value to people, I might do that. We'll see how we go. 21 miles. We're at just through 7,700. We've got a local barrows 2988. We might just increase that rate of descent a little bit. We might try and go for a visual, actually. Well, we are going to fly a visual approach. But some stuff should be coming into range pretty soon. Well, 20 miles out. Yeah, beautiful part of the world. Unfortunately, I never got here in real life. Again, much to my regret. There's so much of this beautiful country that I haven't laid eyes on in real life, so and time's probably running out, but yeah, this is one part of the world I would have liked to have spent some time. It's very different Australia from what we see in some of our coastal towns and cities, that's for sure. Beautiful country, very big country, diverse country, and I'm proud to call myself an Australian most of the time. I don't have a lot of time for the leadership of this country, but I try and keep that off my channel. Leadership in society in general, folks, is quite lacking. It's been exposed in the last couple of years as we've all experienced the pandemic and stuff. I feel anyway. Some of the so-called leadership has been absolutely disgraceful. Oxygen thieves, and I'm being polite, some of them. But anyway, focus. Jude, what's happening? You enjoyed this, Jude? Not a bead of sweat. I haven't even had the aircon on, Jude. I've just been going au natural. Look at that, cool as a cuke. Doesn't flinch. Now, I've enjoyed having you on board, Jude. I always do. It's a bit one-sided, these conversations, but you know, a man does what he can to feel less lonely. Alice Springs, folks, about 10 miles, sort of out in that direction, the airport. You can probably see it actually down through there. So what we might do is we might give Georgie a break. Georgie, you've done a stellar job, son. Absolutely stellar job. And we will now track direct the field. Do need to increase that rate of descent. Not quite 2,000 feet a minute, fella, but you know, not too bad. About 7.5 miles from the field at the moment. Field in sight. Calling it visual. What a beautiful day up here, hey? So we're 21 degrees at 5,000. It's going to be warm on the ground. Runway 30. Although the wind doesn't really suggest that. The wind suggests that landing on runway 12 would be more suitable. You start to see some of that range render in there, pop in a little bit. Yeah, we probably do need to get down. 170 knots, it's okay. The field is obscured by the frame. The wind is pushing us towards the field. That's a light breeze, that's okay. We'll take a light tailwind, that'll be fine. There we go, folks. Alice Springs. Might take a stage of flap. We'll take gear in a sec. Continue to descend. Definitely high at this stage. Should have clicked flight director off. I don't need the flight director. Yeah, look, we'll take gear. We should be able to get ourselves slowed down to about 90 knots as we hit the threshold. Very light breeze, now changing towards a southwesterly. And hopefully becoming a little bit more westerly, which it is. Yeah, that's fine. We're good. Runway 30. As planned, folks. Down through 116 knots. Let's retrim. And we'll take final flap. Full flap. There we go. Retrim. Been a really enjoyable flight. Glad I chose to do this one today. Just what I needed. And folks, I just want to say thank you once again for your company on another journey. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Perhaps learned a thing or two. Even if you didn't learn anything, hopefully it's provided some relief from reality for you, folks. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Hey, some days, that's what we all need. 95 knots, folks. A little quick. Just come off the power. Runway 30. Light crosswind from the left. Down to about 85 over the numbers. Alright, into a flare. Light flare. Not floating, please. And we're on. Get the nose wheel down. We'll just let it roll out. Floated that out a little bit too long. Little bit quick. That's what you do. If you're just a couple of knots more than what you should be, she floats this baby. Just a little bit of light braking. Try and get off at the first taxiway here. Get our flaps coming up. A bit more braking. Off to the right hand side, folks. There we go. We'll find a suitably nondescript hangar to park in front of, which will be over here on the left hand side. And there we go. Folks, that'll do us. Something like that. It's close enough for me. Folks, that has been a flight from Adelaide, following the route of the Ghan up to Alice Springs, part 1. I'll film part 2 and put that on the channel in due course. That'll take us from Alice Springs up to Darwin. Thanks for your company, and we'll see you in the next video.